Hello, my snow angels. Welcome back. Last Wednesday, I released my song Golden Memory, right? So, I wanted to talk about it. So, it's about my grandpa who passed away on October 23rd, 2023. It took me a year to make the song. It was incredibly difficult to make because uh, when I'd work on it, waves of grief would come, and I delayed it for a year because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to say goodbye yet, and I felt like finishing the song would make it feel final. So it took me a year, and I certainly did cry later that day, and it was hard, but it was okay. But I wanted to talk about memories with my grandpa and how they shaped me into the person I am today. And these are the memories that I referred to in my track. So I'm gonna start talking about that. This video is not scripted, I'm just gonna speak from the heart. So I'm not gonna go too deep into the situation, but my grandparents got divorced when my mom was young. And so yeah, and plus he lived on like in the Northeast, and I'm from Idaho. And he didn't like to fly very much, so I didn't get to have a lot of experiences with him in person, but we really connected on a deeper level. So a little bit about my grandpa. He had his own construction company when my mom was a kid. He had a very weird sense of humor. He was very very funny guy, and he had this attitude of like he said that he wanted on his headstone to say the oldest kid that ever lived. He just was always quirky and funny, and he had a hard life, you know. Like both of his like he remarried eventually, and she ended up leaving him too. Like my grandma left him for someone else, and then the second wife left him for someone else. But he didn't let that stop him from living a positive life. And when he turned 80, he decided to go back to college and to get an art degree. He loved to paint, he loved music, he would play music by ear, play the piano. I found out when I started picking up violin almost 4 years ago. Yeah, almost 4 years ago. It was, yeah, 2020. December 2020 is when I first picked up the violin. I haven't played in over a year, so I do miss it though. But yeah, when he was younger, he played the violin. But I don't think he could read music. I think he only played by ear. But yeah, he went to school and got an art degree when he was 80, and then taught Tai Chi to the elderly. And yeah, he loved music, he loved art, so we really bonded. So the first memory that I consciously remember, because he did come to visit when I was a baby, but I didn't see him until I was about 8. My family went on a trip to Sacramento to go visit my uncle and my cousins. And we went to Alcatraz too, but my grandpa flew over all the way from the Northeast to visit. And we went to Alcatraz. I remember sticking to him the whole time he was there. He wasn't there for the whole trip. And at the time, I was taking piano lessons. I took piano lessons for about 3 years. And there was this song I was obsessed with. I had it memorized. And my uncle had a very beautiful grand piano. And so I played that song, and my grandpa joined me. He didn't know the song and like couldn't read music, but he played along with me. And that memory is tinged in gold for me. Like when I think of it, it's just kind of like a gold leaf frame around the memory. And it's just one I will always treasure. Fast forward to about high school. I was a sophomore. I was in class, and a girl brought up her grandmother to the class and about how amazing she is and all the things she learned from her grandmother. And, like I hadn't seen my grandpa since I was 8. And then my grandma, like we kept away from her for reasons. My other grandma was strange, so I never felt close to her. And then my other grandpa died of cancer when I was 4. So I started crying in class because I felt like I didn't have grandparents and that I never got to have that experience that she was talking about. I went home, I told my mom, and she told my grandpa, and he gave me a call. And we talked. And, I really, really connected with him. And the cool thing about my grandpa was that whenever one of us graduated high school and any of his other grandkids, he would do an oil painting. He loved painting landscapes. And he talked to me about how there were covered bridges in Vermont that he really liked. And he wanted to paint one for me. So fast forward to my senior year of high school, I was really excited and really looking forward to getting into painting. My siblings didn't really care as much. They're just like, oh, cool. But I was taking art classes since I think 8th grade. So I was really excited. And when his painting finally came in the mail, I immediately ripped it out of the package, hugged it to my chest, and ran upstairs. And it wasn't until the next day that I came down and realized that there was a check in there for $100. And I was just overcome. I was like, that's so sweet. And sure enough, it was a bridge, the covered bridge in Vermont. That's not the painting I ended up keeping. I think it was one of my brothers. Shushu was barking because he was hearing stuff outside, so he's gonna be with me so mommy can record. Okay, so yeah, I ended up taking one of my brother's paintings. They were hung up in my parents' house, but I ended up taking that with me. That's what's the cover art for the song. Yeah, that was really special. And when I started college and I decided to study art, I got to talk to him on the phone again. And we talked about it. We talked about what I was learning in Art 101 and in my classes. She's squirming. And he was telling me about how I think he was drawing birds at the time. I don't know if it was at this point in time or a different point in time, but he was drawing a bird a day at some point. But I know for sure during this time we were emailing our drawings and paintings to each other. And then I think, 2016, I was turning 22? Yeah, I believe so. I was turning 22. I decided I wanted to go visit him, and every year there was a party on that side of my family with all the family members from his family that lived over there. So I got to meet my great aunt and my second cousins. I don't know. Yeah, I got to go up there. It was a trip to Boston, and we stayed with him and went to that reunion. And at this point, I think he was in his late 80s. Which, by the way, in that side of it, his dad lived to the age of 99. My grandpa lived to the age of 94. So they live long. But there's also a history of Alzheimer's and dementia for both those grandparents. So my grandma from that side also passed away from dementia. So yeah, we went for that and got to spend time with him. And I was writing a lot of songs on the piano at the time and was just really getting into it. College those were good years for writing music for me, but it was just me and the piano. I didn't have recording equipment or anything like that. I didn't know how to produce. So one day I showed him some of these songs on the piano. I was playing the piano and singing, and he barely knew how to use his phone, but he was recording me playing the piano and playing my songs, and he loved them. And I think he even shared them with people. But yeah, he loved them. And then later he took me up to see his studio, to see his paints and all his supplies. And we just really bonded over that. And then not long after the trip, he was no longer able to paint. So he ended up sending me the paints and sending me the paintbrushes and everything. And I just knew he wanted me to continue creating art in his footsteps, right? And it's unfortunate. All that stuff is with my parents. I don't know if they've used it or not. I have no contact with them, but I'm not gonna go into that because it's very personal. But at the moment, I'm not on speaking terms with them. I do know that when he passed, my mom did get his violin. Not the one that he learned on, but one that he got later so that I could have it. I don't have it because I'm not talking to her. So hopefully I can figure out how to get that because I want it. But yeah, so then I graduated college and started my working life outside of college. I moved to Korea, and his health started to really decline. And yeah, a few days before he died, he was admitted to some kind of home because his dementia was really bad. And I fell apart when I heard the news because I wanted to see him again. I wanted him to hold on until I moved back. I had already decided at that point that I was going to move back to the States briefly until I can figure out how I can move to Europe. I wanted him to hold on so I could see him one last time and say goodbye to him because my grandmas, I both lost them when I was out of the country and I didn't get to go to their funerals and I didn't get to say goodbye to them in that way. I wanted to be able to say goodbye, but that wasn't in the cards because a few days later he was walking with my uncle from his second marriage, and apparently like he was a hit at this home. He would play piano for everyone and he just was always funny and social and everything and just always so full of life, and he really brightened the place up. But he was walking with my uncle and then that night he just passed away in his sleep. Just peacefully passed away in his sleep, and I'm glad that he passed peacefully and was able to spend his last day with my uncle. But I received the news when I was at school. I was getting ready to teach my after school classes and I fell apart in there and messaged my boss, and I was able to push those after school classes to Monday. Mondays were usually my free days and we usually make up class days. So I was able to go home and grieve. I'm sorry, I know it's cringe to cry on camera. I fell apart and I wrote the lyrics to Golden Memory about these memories with him and how I want to continue his legacy. And here we are. He was an incredible person. Everyone loved him. And he connected with so many people over music and art. And he knew how to live. He loved trying new things. He loved creating, and he was very funny, very easy to talk to. He did have his grumpy moments, but just so amazing, and it really hurts that he's gone. But I know that his memory will always stay with me. Those times will always stay with me. And that same drive that he had to create music and to create art is innate in me. And so every time that I do art or music, I'm keeping his spirit alive. I'm keeping his memory alive. And I just want to live the best life I can to honor that. And I know that he would want me to be happy and to continue to do these things that I love, that we really bonded over. So, yeah. And then I do want to go visit his grave and play the song for him. I'm not in the position to do so right now, but that is the plan. So, yeah. Anyway, that's what the song was about. I wanted to share that. I hope you guys all enjoyed the song and hearing about the incredible person my grandpa was. And if any of you have experienced loss in your families, I hope that you are able to seek comfort in remembering them and in honoring them by living the best you can possibly live. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.